Hey everybody, this is Chris from How to Tesla. Today, I wanted to talk about 5 ways that I think Tesla stock could take a major crash. I'm talking catastrophic crash that's just gonna send investors running. Now, the neat thing about Tesla stock is that there's more individual investors in it than any other stock out there. As far as individual investors, I'm referring to retail investors, normal folks like us who like to pick their own stocks and take a ride on the risk train, you know? So I personally am heavily invested in Tesla stock. I absolutely love it. I've got hundreds of different reasons why I chose to put most of my expendable income into Tesla stock. But with every stock out there, there's going to be risks. And with Tesla, there's some that are quite catastrophic in my opinion. So I want to touch on 5 things that could potentially happen where most retail investors would just flee from the stock. And interestingly, I believe if retail investors flee from the stock, institutions would also leave the stock before most of the retail investors would catch wind, because the big money is they have their finger on the pulse of the market, and they're going to know before most of us get an alert on Twitter or whatever we're using to follow stocks. So the first way that I think that there would be a catastrophic crash for the Tesla stock would be if Elon Musk left Tesla. A lot of people invest in Tesla because they believe so much in Elon Musk, all the different things that he's accomplished, all these lofty goals that he has, turning our planet into a planet of sustainable energy, wanting to build colonies on Mars, all of these amazing things that he does. People just eat it up and absolutely love him. And I think if he left Twitter, whether voluntarily or something happens to him, I do believe that the stock would absolutely plummet in that case. Do I think he's going to be leaving anytime soon? Absolutely not. I think when he outlined his plans in the future, what his goals are for the future of not only the company but of mankind, I think his best position is to do it while at Tesla. The second major potentially devastating thing that I see that could happen is if full self-driving ends up being stopped by the government for whatever reason, whether it's through regulations. They find that there's a couple crashes where the full self-driving was activated and the government just decides to not allow it, to completely ban it. I think a lot of the retail investors would flee. A lot of investors believe that FSD is going to be one of the things that gives Tesla such a major advantage over its competition. And if that were to be taken away from Tesla, that it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to continue holding on to the stock or purchasing more of it. Personally, I don't actually think that's the case. I think that where their software is currently, it's still miles and miles and miles ahead of everyone else. And even if they weren't to allow the full self-driving, I think that there's so much ingenuity at Tesla with their engineers and Elon that they would still figure out a way to just blow the competition away software-wise. So the third thing that I think that could potentially happen is that demand for the cars dies. Right now, Tesla's growing at a faster rate than any other car manufacturer out there, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, other than what you would expect with the economy the way it is in its current state. So in order for demand to die down, I think that there would have to be some sort of either product from a competitor that's extremely compelling and just makes a lot more sense, or they weren't able to produce their $25,000 affordable Tesla vehicle, and there would come a point where everybody who can afford their current listings with the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model X, the Model S, Cybertruck, it would eventually die down because they're not inexpensive vehicles by any stretch of the imagination. So you're really only going to be able to get so many people who are able to afford them as their daily driver or their little fun drive around town vehicles. But they're already starting to produce the platforms to make the much less expensive Teslas. The Gen 3 platform, they've already announced that it's going to be put into their new Giga Mexico, and they're estimating that they're going to be pumping out well over 1 million cars per year just at that location, and they're also going to be installing these Generation 3 platforms into other gigafactories. So I don't think that this is actually going to be a very realistic possibility. But as we all know, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So there is always a slight chance that something like that could happen. So the fourth reason, I think if they scrapped the Tesla bot and the robotaxi, a lot of investors out there, retail investors specifically, invest a lot because of the amazing things that Tesla's coming out with. There's a lot of lofty projections from Elon Musk as far as what they believe they're going to be able to sell unit-wise for the Tesla bot and the robotaxi. And a lot of people are putting money into Tesla because they believe that once these goals are hit, that they're not already priced into the stock, and it's just going to be massive amounts of profit for them in the future. Now, if they were to scrap those ideas for whatever reason, maybe they couldn't get the actuators to work quite the way that they wanted to, or the software challenges to have the walking robot perform the tasks that they're anticipating, and they end up having to cut it from their future plans, I think a lot of people would pull their money out, not thinking that they're going to get the return on investment that they would have had if those projects would have went through and come to fruition. So the fifth reason that I think the Tesla stock could absolutely collapse would be a major halt in production. So I know there's a lot of global tensions between us and China. If China were just to completely close down the factory, they're making more units out of China than anywhere else. Say something happens between the US and Mexico, Berlin, if for whatever reason other governments were to shut the factories down that Tesla's already built, that would absolutely destroy the stock. If you can't produce the units, you can't make sales, you're not turning a profit, you're not going to be in business. Not saying they would go out of business. They do have a lot in reserves and could potentially, I'm sure, figure out ways to build new factories. But I mean, you're looking at years down the line before they're completed, they're ramped up, and they're producing units on the scale that they are today. Now, again, I don't think that this is very realistic. However, you can never disclude anything out there from happening, because sometimes, even if it's 1,000,000 to 1 shot, it can still happen. So personally, I'm still investing in Tesla. I believe that on a risk-adjusted basis, that it's the best stock out there that I'm personally aware of. I'm sure there's smaller companies that are gonna 100x before Tesla 3x's. But I'm just not aware of them or familiar enough with the companies to be confident in investing in them. Where with Tesla, being that I own the product and I followed Elon for quite a long time and I've invested in the company for quite a long time, I'm really excited for what the future brings, and I've done all the calculations as far as where I believe they're going to be, and I cannot find a whole lot of really good reasons not to invest in it. And speaking of which, if you guys could let me know in the comments if you want to see like maybe a series on investing in Tesla, where maybe I could break down like the basics on why so many people put their money into Tesla, as far as like price to earnings, and the evaluations based on whether it's a growth or a value stock, whether it's an automotive stock or a software stock or an AI stock, and the different challenges and benefits that you would have from each. Looking at EBITDA, different things like that, just like your basics to get a ground level understanding of why people invest in Tesla and whether you think that's something that might benefit you. Let me know, because I really get interested in it, and I've always sort of obsessed over all of this for years now, especially with Tesla. And I'm just wondering if people out there might want to get kind of a ground level idea of the basics and why people do it, and how to make it make sense and what you can expect one way or another, how to formulate your own analysis and projections, things like that, but just really dumbed down in an easy to understand way. Let me know if that's something that you guys might enjoy watching, because I think I would probably enjoy making it. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm not trying to spread FUD with these 5 things, but I do believe there's always a little bit of risk out there, and these, in my opinion, are 5 major risks, just with a really, really small chance of actually happening. So with that, hope you like the perspective. I'll see you next video. Thanks.